Hi, my name is Andrew Eldridge, and I am honored to select the All-State Percussion Etudes for this year's Texas Music Educators Association. The Four-Mallet selection this year is called La Cancion and is found in the book Impressions on Wood by Julie Davila on pages 48 through 51. Of course, the most important thing to focus on, as with all percussion etudes, is playing with a great sound quality. Avoid overplaying this instrument with stiff strokes. Focus on fluid motions by relaxing the hands during high-demand phrases so that they can keep moving. And playing harsh downstrokes will keep your momentum sluggish and make your note accuracy suffer. Use your ears to listen while you play will help you to hear when your articulations are too staccato from squeezing the mallet or playing too harshly. Of course, be the best rhythmician that you can possibly be. Learn to execute the correct notes and rhythms at a slow tempo before you add in the rubato phrasing. I often find young students able to perform individual sections of music but struggle going over the bar line. When first preparing the etude, tackle short phrases at a time and repeat them. However, I find it personally helpful to practice each phrase starting a measure before and ending a measure afterwards so that I can go ahead and pre-learn the transitions. Clarify your stickings and write them in. I call these landmark stickings. Landmarks help you feel more comfortable as you pass them in the music. They are familiar territory and give you points of reference while performing. It's completely okay to change these stickings as you mature with the piece and discover different ways to think about the music. I often experiment with body and feet placement to move my mallets to the best possible playing zones. Above all, keep the motions as fluid as possible and avoid turning the wrist in or out too drastically or making any sudden motions. Take time to cultivate opportunities to express your personal phrasing on this etude. This may be the most subjective part of any of the mallet etudes. Avoid listening to just my interpretation. Through a lot of critical listening, you start to develop your own personal journey throughout this etude. Learn which notes you might want to stress or de-stress and how you want to arrive at certain points. Above all, be very intentional about the phrasing and back up your decisions from evidence that you've gained through listening study. Before you can perform with a convincing phrasing, take care to establish a foundation of mature sound quality and note accuracy. Remember that a roll is a percussionist's way to emulate long tones. The hand should stay relaxed. If you squeeze too hard with the fingers, the roll will sound too choppy. Avoid accenting the roll's release. A release note should blend in with the roll. Your mallet choice should reflect your informed preferences on both tone production and the instrument. I chose a slightly heavier, softer, and darker mallet for this piece. My choice for this etude is from the Vic Firth Theodor Milkov line of mallets. I also chose a graduated set of mallets to accommodate the wide note ranges from this piece. The specific mallets I chose were the M283 medium in the bass or bottom position, two M284 medium hard mallets in the middle, and the M285 hard mallet in the soprano or top position. I encourage you to experiment with different stickings to find what works for you individually. For example, the phrase that starts at measure 13 may look straightforward and played as 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. But I found it much more consistent for phrasing and flow to change the stickings to 1, 3, 2, 4, 2, 3, 1. The end of measure 46 also contains a turnaround that potentially looks like 4 notes played just by the right hand. I played the final beat of measure 46 as 1, 2, 4, 2, 4. And this piece contains an entire phrase with double laterals, not to mention the flamenco-style triplets in the main themes. The hand should play these fluidly. Watch out for crushing the double lateral motions and listen for clarity in the sound. I recommend practicing the technique on the floor first to learn the correct feel, timing, and sound, then transfer that technique to a keyboard. The hallmark of any great marimba player is to keep the double lateral sounds relaxed and clear. I chose to stylize the main theme a bit more than marked in 2 different spots, during the second time of the phrase at measure 5 and also during the phrase at measure 37. To play this, suddenly play slower on the written accents on beat 2 and the 3rd bar of each phrase. The tempo will then move faster through the next 5 beats until you strike the major chord in either measure 9 or beat 3 of measure 40. It may be helpful to isolate these 5 beats so you get a feel for the accelerando, then incorporate it into the full phrase once you get a hand of it. Stay patient with this as it lends itself to a more romanticized interpretation of a piece whose title translates to the song. If I may, here are a few mindset tips that help my students and me through preparation for any big performance. Your mindset can change everything about your performance. Henry Ford once quipped, "Whether you think you can or can't, you're right." Find ways to focus on the musical details while performing. Practice keeping stray thoughts from going through your mind while in the performance flow. Also focus on creating productive systems, not goals. You are better served if you have a plan in place for developing a solid foundation through the 4 basic Four-Mallet strokes, rather than mastering the specific combinations that are found in this etude. And lastly, learn to enjoy the process. We spend so much time in the preparation phase, but choose how we feel about music after a single performance. Our fulfillment should come from a positive relationship with this instrument in the practice room. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial over the 2024-2025 Texas Music Educators Association All-State Four-Mallet Etude. I sincerely hope you have fun working on this etude. And if you are auditioning for All-State this year, I hope you have a great performance and enjoy the ride.